Jacob Miller survived a bullet to the forehead for 54 years, often feeling pieces of lead drop from his wound. Today, we look into the eyes of men like Jacob, the survivors who carried the physical weight of the Civil War into a new century. One. George W. Warner. George Warner served with the 20th Connecticut. At the Battle of Gettysburg, a single shell took both of his arms. In this portrait, we see the quiet dignity of a man who spent the next 60 years navigating a world without hands, yet he never lost the upright posture of a soldier. 2. Henry A. Seaverns. Henry Seaverns stands tall with his crutch, a permanent reminder of the sacrifice he made for the Union. Notice how he proudly wears his full uniform and medals later in life. His coat was faded and worn, but the way he stands tells you he never stopped being a soldier. 3. Nick Barton. Nick Barton represents the rugged longevity of the veteran. His weathered face tells a story of survival, not just on the battlefield, but through the decades of Reconstruction that followed. He was a living bridge between the age of muskets and the dawn of the modern world. 4. Stephen Joseph McGroarty. Colonel McGroarty of the 61st Ohio was a man who seemed impossible to kill. He was wounded 23 times during the war. Here we see the visual proof of his resilience, an empty sleeve that serves as a silent testament to the Fighting Irishman's incredible bravery under fire. But the wounds you see are only half the story. Wait until you see the man who survived a bullet to the head for over 50 years. 5. Samuel Decker. Samuel Decker lost both arms at the elbow. Rather than give up, he became a pioneer of sorts, designing his own mechanical prosthetic arms so he could continue to work and provide for his family. He transformed his tragedy into an inspiration for every wounded veteran who followed him. 6. Private George W. Lemon. This isn't just a portrait, it was a medical study. It was used to teach future surgeons how much the human body could actually endure. Having survived a grueling secondary amputation, a procedure often fatal in the 1860s, his portrait was used to teach future surgeons about the limits of human endurance and the miracles of early military medicine. 7. Burritt Stiles. Burritt Stiles of the 2nd New Hampshire stands with a hauntingly calm expression. Like so many young men of his generation, he left home whole and returned forever changed. The loss of his arm was a price he paid willingly, a sacrifice etched forever into this fragile piece of paper. 8. Francis R.T. Nicholls. Francis Nicholls was a Confederate general who gave nearly everything to his cause, losing both an arm and a leg. His physical scars did not stop him, however. He went on to serve as the Governor of Louisiana, proving that the strength of a soldier's will often outlives their physical body. Coming up, the incredible story of a man who performed surgery on himself in a prisoner of war camp just to stay alive. 9. John W. January. John January's story is one of the most harrowing of the war. While a prisoner at the infamous Andersonville camp, his feet began to rot from scurvy. To save his own life, he used a pocket knife to amputate his own feet. This photo captures the man who literally carved out his own survival. 10. Private Samuel Shoop. Samuel Shoop lost his leg at the Battle of Fort Stedman, just weeks before the war ended. His portrait captures that bittersweet reality of many veterans. The war was over, the nation was saved, but his personal journey of healing was only just beginning. 11. Unidentified Veteran. We may not know this man's name, but his face represents the thousands of nameless heroes whose stories were never written down. Captured by photographer Alberto Enchel, his missing limb tells the same story of sacrifice as the generals, reminding us that every soldier's blood ran the same color. 12. Richard T. Gilbert. Richard Gilbert of the 7th New York Heavy Artillery leans on his crutches with a steady gaze. The space where his leg once was is a powerful visual metaphor for the missing generation of men who were forever altered by the smoke and lead of the 1860s. We are nearing the end of our journey, where we will meet the very last man to wear the Union blue. 13. Alfred A. Stratton. Alfred Stratton was just a boy when a cannon blast took both of his arms. He became one of the most photographed veterans of the era, traveling to show the public the true cost of the war. His youthful face, contrasted with his severe injuries, touched the hearts of a grieving nation. 14. Captain Reuben Everett Wilson. Captain Wilson of the North Carolina Infantry sits with his crutch held like a saber. For Southern veterans like Wilson, returning home often meant returning to a destroyed economy and a shattered landscape, making the burden of their physical wounds even heavier to bear. 15. Michael Dunn. Michael Dunn is pictured in an early hand-cranked wheelchair. In an era before modern accessibility, men like Dunn faced immense daily challenges. Yet, look at his expression. There is a fierce independence there, a refusal to be sidelined by the injuries he sustained in service. While the Union veterans faced a world without limbs, Southern survivors like Captain Reuben Everett Wilson returned to a land that was physically and economically destroyed. 16. Reuben David Moore. Known for this iconic photo in his rubber poncho, Reuben David Moore reminds us of the other enemy of the soldier, the elements. His survival through freezing winters and torrential rains was a victory in itself, a testament to the endurance of the human spirit against all odds. And now, we look upon the face of a man who defied death in a way that science still struggles to explain. 17. Albert Woolson. This is Albert Woolson. When he passed away in 1956, at the age of 109, the last direct link to the Union Army was severed. In this photo, he represents more than just a man. He is the final heartbeat of an era that redefined the meaning of freedom and sacrifice. 18. Jacob Miller. Jacob Miller was shot directly in the forehead at Chickamauga. Left for dead, he got up and walked to safety. He lived for 54 more years with an open hole in his skull. He famously said that sometimes pieces of lead would still drop out of his wound. He is the ultimate face of survival. 19. Thomas Plunkett. Sergeant Thomas Plunkett lost both arms while refusing to let his regiment's flags hit the ground at Fredericksburg. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, but his true reward was the respect of a nation that never forgot the man who held the colors when everything else was lost. 20. Daniel Edgar Sickles. General Dan Sickles was as controversial as he was brave. After losing his leg to a cannonball at Gettysburg, he had the limb preserved and sent to a museum. For years, he would visit his own leg on the anniversary of the battle, an eccentric final reminder of a war that took everything, but could not break the soul. These were the faces of the survivors. Long after the cannons fell silent, they carried the war in their bodies and their memories. If you found these stories moving, please subscribe to Antique Visions for more journeys into our shared past, lest we forget.